Oh, look who's here.
How are you doing?
We're getting by.
It's your turn.
I'm listening to your story.
Well, multitask.
Okay.
This is my first lead role. I've actually been offered some parts as a lead in a movie, but not ones that I really connected to or felt that this was the time for me to take that plunge into a leading role. But this one I definitely responded to, even though I didn't understand all of it. And it's changed a little bit since that. I mean, there were different scenes that were swapped in and out, but my body responded to the script. I was moved by it and it flowed. I read it very quickly. Nothing's, I wasn't like thinking about something else suddenly. Sometimes you're reading a script and you go, I can't even stay focused on the script. So right away, and I had met Kent at the Berkshire Film Festival. We were both on the film jury there. And he mentioned that after he saw Francis Coppola's The Rainmaker,
Dear Mrs. Black, on 7 prior occasions this company has denied your claim in writing. We now deny it for the 8th and final time. You must be stupid.
Dot Black, that character I played, he thought she can play my mother, and he had been wanting to write this story about his mother and her family for many years. And so he said, I'm going to write this script, and I was really excited. My parents are from Texas. My father was from a small town, like the Last Picture Show kind of size town. In West Texas, my mother from Port Arthur, Texas. So even though the size of the town were slightly larger or smaller than this town, the community was very similar. My grandmother was always taking casserole dishes and cakes and pies over to neighbors or friends' house, picking them up from doctor's appointments. She reminded me of Diane in a certain way. She didn't have a great sin that she was atoning for, but she was very involved with, helping other people, and so that really resonated with me. The community aspect of these smaller towns really resonated with going to my grandparents in the summer. I think many of us in our culture have addiction in our families, and whether it's direct relatives or ancestral relatives that are addicted. So that resonated with me. I think all of us have done things or said things we regretted and felt shame about, and so I didn't have as big a burden as Diane and haven't lugged anything like that around for years, but can certainly imagine doing that and have felt that for shorter periods of time. So there was enough there to make me connect just to the humanity of the character.
I'm not angry.
How does that make you feel?
Fine.
Give it time. You'll get angry.
Maria is just, I think, a brilliant person. I think she's so particular, specific, and creative. There's no one like her, and I don't know if you saw her videos that she made at home online. The minute I saw that, I thought, I've got to play Marilyn, but I was worried about playing her mother, Marilyn, because she does an imitation of her mother that is so brilliant and hilarious, which I could never, ever approach, that Maria just blows my mind. So anyway, I was excited to be a part of that. That was a very unique experience. Maria and Marilyn have a complicated relationship in the series. Sometimes I didn't understand where Marilyn was coming from, and I had to just jump across a bridge and pretend I did understand it, sometimes take a leap of faith. It was intense, and underneath the comedy there was an intense dynamic of the whole show, and it was really interesting to work on.
If communism comes a-knocking at your door, don't answer it. If communism comes a-knocking at your neighbor's door, don't let him answer it.
Well, I got hired, even though I was not a good secretary. They didn't call them assistants back then. We were secretaries, and I was really not a secretary, but I was hired to work for the head writers, Bob Schiller and Bob Weisskopf, who had worked on the I Love Lucy show, and for Maude, which was the second spin-off after, the first spin-off after All in the Family. And we had offices adjacent to All in the Family head writers plus Norman Lear. And we all got to know each other. And one day I was with my girlfriend who worked at the news station at KTLA, I think, in LA. And I had written this song, "If Communism Comes Knocking at Your Door, Don't Answer It." And I taught it to Patty, and we were harmonizing in the parking lot, had a little glass of wine at lunch. The head writers of All in the Family heard us singing that song. They said, "What is that? What are you singing?" And I told them, we sang it. And he later, when we got back to the office, he said, "Norman, you got to hear this song. Mary Kay, sing that song for him." So Patty and my throat closed up, and I went, "Oh my God." We sang the song, and he said, "How would you like to be on All in the Family and sing that song?" Which, was the last thing I ever expected anyone to say to me. And that's how it all began. And then I had an idea for Maude. I don't know that I wrote an episode of All in the Family. I didn't do a storyline, but I did for Maude.
Oh, you did MASH.
Yeah, I wrote 3 scripts with Linda Bloodworth for MASH. I had always acted in school, but I was also interested in writing and directing the whole big picture, and my gift was basically as an actor. But I worked in production because I didn't want to be a waitress at some distant location that had nothing to do. I wanted to see the big picture. So I was a clerk typist in music clearance, then I was a receptionist, then I worked for Tim Conway, then I got this job with Norman Lear. And that was a perfect graduate school. I was in every note session for every new draft of every episode, and I typed every single one of them, so it was a great education.
There really is something that I have to talk to you about.
Lord, Mary, you're not going to believe what happened. Whew, I'm out of shape and pooped, and I only came from next door. Hi, Kathy. Sorry to barge in.
What happened?
There was a mass murder on the next block.
You mean somebody told you before me?
Well, I wrote for a period of time with Linda. We did pilots and episodes. And then when they were casting Mary Hartman, we had just written a pilot for Norman. And he said, we're doing this crazy soap opera thing, and I think you'd be great for Kathy, the sister of Mary Hartman. And I read the script and saw Loretta, and that was it. I was determined to be Loretta. So I said, "Do you mind if I audition for this other part, Loretta?" And they had lyrics in the song, to a song in the script, and I wrote the music for the lyrics and sang it in the audition, and I eventually got to play that part. Well, there's a giant box set available now, but it takes a lot of time and patience because we have 360. We did 30 minutes 5 times a week, so there's a lot of episodes. Some are great, some are not so great. When you do that many, that volume, they can't all be gems, but there are some major gems in there and some major really weird episodes as well. But the younger people don't know about it, and they don't really have access because there's a lot of music rights and expensive elements to the thing that didn't exist when we shot the show, and now it's too expensive to stream probably. But so it's probably going to get lost, but there are videos, clips online, which I think some younger people have seen and have responded to me about. But to get the full picture, you'd have to buy that box set. Here's how it goes. It's kind of complicated, so try to follow along. I'm 32 of 56 children, and when I married Roman, I became my own step-grandma because my father married Roman's daughter, Baleen. Would you care for a biscuit? Oh, my God. I loved playing Adeline Grant. I loved that show. I think Will and Mark are just incredible. The creators of that show are geniuses. They offered me that role, and it was a joy and just so challenging and fun to play that character. I loved her. Well, she rigidly held on to the little tiny power because women in that culture don't have power.
Especially as the 6th wife.
Yes, but she had managed to get into the political position of almost the first wife because she maneuvered her way.
Any questions, ladies?
No, that's okay. We're just going to take a quick look around. Thank you.
Oh, I'm afraid we're only showing this house to potential buyers. No looky-loos. If you want a rubberneck, there was a pileup out on Highway 183.
It's interesting because when you don't have the facial expressions and the whole body, I learned the hard way. You have to feel like you're overacting when you do a voiceover because you need more oomph to the character if you don't have the face and body to relate and get those subtle clues from facial expressions. And so I used to be, quote, natural or just subtle in voiceovers. And it wasn't until I heard it back that I had any idea how flat it sounded. So I had to learn about that, and I'm not sure I've totally learned that yet. But I did do, what's that big animated film? And I played a witch.
Oh gosh, it could be anything.
It's a big one. It's not coming to me right now, but I had to melt. There were just all these things that it did.
Does anyone care to tell me what's going to take to get this okay? You.
Faster brooms?
No.
Pointier hats?
No, you.
Maybe we could hire a professional bounty hunter?
No.
What a world! What a world!
Shrek.
Oh, okay, yes.
Shrek. I played a witch in Shrek. I can't remember which installment. There's 3 or 4 Shrek movies, but it was one of the Shrek movies.
They're either married or gay. And if they're not gay, they've just broken up with the most wonderful woman in the world, or they've just broken up with a bitch who looks exactly like me.
You couldn't make a movie like that with that sound. You couldn't afford that soundtrack in today's time. That was one of the movies that caused the whole financial situation about rights to movies for music change. But it was a very specific time. People were smoking grass all the time, and we didn't know then what we know now about addiction, and it was just a very particular time and place. And it was kind of a popular movie when it came out. It was sort of right away people connected to it from the baby boom generation, because a million people over the years have said we had a group of friends just like that. We were really close since college. We'd get together all the time. So I think a lot of people connected to the story and the characters. And it depends on the age. If people around my age or a little bit younger, it's Big Chill. People around my age and older, it's Mary Hartman. Younger people, it's Sweet Home Alabama.
Are you hungry? Sweetie, do you want me to reheat you some chicken fried steak?
Oh, no, Mama, I'm fine. Sweetie, you look tired.
Are you tired? Oh, you know what? Maybe it's the way you're wearing your hair now.
A lot of people, it's Big Love, or I'm trying to think of what other recent.
Being John Malkovich. Or
yeah,
something, maybe?
or Imposters. I had a lot of people recognize. I didn't even realize that many people were watching Imposters.
Ezra, stop flirting and get your skinny ass in my office now.
Arthur, could you turn off your intercom, please, and talk like a human? We've had enough drama around here for one morning.
Good morning, Mom.
Good morning, beautiful boy.
But yeah, that happened a lot in grocery stores and checkout ladies. And
Please have a seat, Mr. Juarez.
Schwartz.
Pardon?
Schwartz.
I'm sorry, I have no idea what you're saying to me right now.
My name is Schwartz.
My name is Warts.
I was so excited when I read that script. It was like one of the true great gifts, because it was what I like to call a Martian movie. So fun. She can't hear. She's deaf as a post, so just phonetically repeats what she's heard, thinking that's what you said. But it's not remotely what you said, but in her mind, it's your problem, never her problem. It's the most brilliant screenplay. It was completely just hilarious. Out of the box, not civilian on any level, totally Martian. I divide the world into the Martians and the civilians.
What other Martian projects have you done?
Citizen Ruth.
It's my little miracle. After I gave birth to Cheryl, I almost died.
Oh, I did one that the name escapes me. Spike Jonze, he's a French director that's friends with Spike
Michel
Jonze.
Gondry?
Yes.
Your adoptive father and I whisked you away from a life that most certainly would have been one of degradation and alcoholism. Your part of the bargain is to never wallow in the filth of instinct.
I mean, this is so terrible,
this is a
but this
problem
happens to
because
me
you have
all
a
the
lot
time.
of roles.
I have a lot, and I could say it 20 times this morning, and then in the afternoon go, what the hell was that again? It comes and goes.